Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it again on a Monday, ready to go because we had some exciting news coming from the UFC today. Breaking news. As soon as I woke up this morning, I was like, holy shit, this is early and I can't believe that I'm waking up to this news. Like, it's insane. So of course, all day long, it's like inundated with everybody's updates and everybody's, posts about it and everyone talking about it. And of course, I was just like, hey, I didn't do my podcast yesterday because I was busy helping a friend do some stuff, and it got late on me. So I was tired. I worked like a regular work day yesterday, which I didn't mind because I was helping my friend out. But I didn't really have the energy or the time to be able to really get the show done. So I just took last night to prep and stuff, and it was kind of like it was meant to be, because then I wake up to this news this morning. So if you didn't know already, the UFC has announced that it will no longer be doing pay-per-views starting uh January 2026, and that's because they are moving over to Paramount Plus slash CBS slash whatever else you want to call it. But it was just crazy news because we knew that the broadcast deal was coming up. I had talked about it quite a few times on various different episodes, just talking about updates and stuff like that, and everything. Just I'm trying to get everything situated here. But yeah, I had talked about it a few times and wondered where it was going to go, what they were going to do. Were they just going to re-up with ESPN? We've long talked about how the pay-per-views just don't seem to be the same, paying lots of money for things that don't seem to be up to par the way they used to be. And a lot of times it's one of those things where, can it change? Will it change? I mean, it was always up in the air. I never thought that we would see no more pay-per-views this soon. I thought it would take another couple years. But I mean, things have been pointing in that direction for a while, and it sounds like the pay-per-view numbers have been down for quite a bit. Common sense would say yes, because of streaming and stuff. We've heard Dana threaten people and talk about the illegal streams and all that, and we all know that people do it. I don't know, a lot of you might do it out there. I don't do it because I don't have the patience to deal with switching up channels. I don't have the patience and the I'll be pissed because it'd be just my luck that the UFC 300, when fucking Max Holloway knocked out Justin Gaethje, that's when my stream would go out, because that's the kind of luck I have. So I have been buying UFCs for a long fucking time, in and out of price hikes and all of that. So this to me is good news as a fan, as a paying customer, as a person that has hardly ever missed one, much less even if I can't watch it live. I've still bought it, watched it later, watched it the next day, or watched it on my phone. So this is great news for me because I mean, it's probably the thing I am the most reckless with money on, and that's $80 a month, sometimes twice a month. I don't pay for a lot of things just outright like that without thinking twice, without hesitating. And I mean, it used to be because we would have big gatherings at my house. It was a way for us to get our friends together. It was a way for us to have at least one fun night every month with our friends, whether everyone was busy or not. Every other weekend, we would at least get together for that one UFC. And I miss the hell out of those days. I miss those days so much. I just miss, hanging out with all my friends like we did. Everyone got busy. Everyone had kids. I had kids early, so my kids were growing up having fun with us at these parties and watching the fights and, entertaining their friends that would come over. And, that stopped a few years ago. And then that's when I kind of started this podcast. And now it's more like watch parties instead of watching the fights and having a party. So those were great days. Those were great memories. But I spent money left and right and I have been since on UFC pay-per-views. It's my one passion. It's the reason why I have this show, because I don't miss them. And if I do, I watch them later or the next morning, but I don't hardly ever miss anything from all of the pay-per-views. And now, as you know, if you watch this channel, you know that I do watch parties with the guys in here. That's how I hang out with my friends now. So the guys that can take the time to come in here will come in here and show up and jump in the watch party. It's fun. So I've spent so much money, it's insane. I'm sure my wife at times was like, do we have to do this every single month? But she knows my passion. She's also enjoyed everything that I have throughout the years of doing all of it. So I appreciate her for being understanding and knowing that that's what I love to do. So, and now I'm here doing this, and that's what's made this. So enough of that. The thing is now I don't have to pay the damn $80. Lies detected. This is random, but that's funny. So, yeah. So I mean, she's supportive, as you can tell, because she's always, whether it's the smartest thing in the world or not, she supports me. So, and I appreciate the hell out of that. So I love you. But yeah, and now there's no more pay-per-views. Like, that's insane. Even though I'm still hearing some stuff, and I'll get into it here in a few minutes when I really get everything going and started. But, in the beginning, I mean, just for the beginning of this, it's like, I'm still hearing that there might be some pay-per-views here and there. It may not be completely dead, but for the most part, not having to pay $80 every month and sometimes twice a month, I'm happy as hell. I never thought I'd see the day. So the prices kept getting upped and upped and upped, like $5, $5, $5, $5. Next thing you know, we're at 80, and I used to pay 45, maybe 50. That's how old I am. That's how long I've been watching. $45, $49.99. DDP by TKO in round 4. Damn, rent free already jumping on the predictions, but I might be with you on that. But that's the thing. Pico by KO in 2. Oh, see, that one I'm not sure. Hey, PVG, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you, sweet. Besides Star Trek, now we'll have UFC. Yeah, exactly. Don't have to pay for it now. So everybody that just watches the highlights or tries to find a stream, you don't have to do that anymore. So thanks for jumping in, PVG. Rent free. Welcome to the stream as well. Thanks for jumping in and interacting. Those are not bad takes, by the way. How long you been an MMA fan? I'm pushing 20 years, brother. 20 years, more than likely. Something like that. I don't know exactly. I would say I could go back to 2006-ish. So yeah, I'm pushing 20 years, man. I've been around for a while watching UFC, and I owe that to some coworkers of mine that got me involved, and they were big jiu-jitsu guys, and they talked about UFC all the time, and I just wanted to be able to talk to them about it, and I liked fighting. I really did. Which fighter do you which fighter go you? Oh, do I like? I'm assuming you're saying. I got a bunch of favorite. I don't have like one favorite fighter. I've always loved Anderson Silva, the Diaz brothers. Which fighter got me into the UFC? Oh, okay, I got you. I would say one of the main guys I followed in the beginning was BJ Penn. BJ Penn for sure was one of the guys that I was like, man, I love this guy. and then of course, there was Chuck Liddell. I love Chuck too. So those are a couple of the real early ones. And then, I just kind of got into it, man. And then I've had favorite fighters throughout. I've had fighters that I've liked all the time. So yeah, I just wanted to be able to talk to the guys about what was going on. I've always loved baseball, which is why I always have a Braves hat on, but it just wasn't my thing. I liked fighting, and I didn't really get into boxing much. So when the UFC came around for me, I dove in, and I've been in ever since. So yeah, for this to happen now is just insane. Almost 20 years into me watching and being a fan of it. Yeah, it's so crazy to see this. So of course, I've got a lot more coming up. I'm going to get into the details and stuff like that. coming up here in a few minutes, so stick around. Just got to get the normal stuff out of the way, the good intro stuff, and that was an intro to the first thing we're going to talk about. I've been a hardcore fan since 2009. Yeah, so you've been around for a while too. So yeah, I mean 2009. I mean that's right going into the heydays of everything, man. And there's just so much that's happened throughout the years. It's insane to think about what we've seen and lived through and witnessed. Everything from, you know, Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar, John Jones starting out, the Diaz brothers, GSP, man, so many. All these posters back here, I watched all of these events, like St. Pierre versus Penn, UFC 100, Silva versus Griffin, all these posters back here. I watched all these events real time because that's, I mean, yeah. I've been watching for a long time, and then I dove deep into the history too, and I went all the way back to one and on and watched all of those too. So yeah, I'm a hardcore. Brock Lesnar got me into MMA. I used to be a big WWE fan. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I mean that wasn't a bad pick, right? Considering he made it all the way to becoming a champ. Whether people want to criticize that or not, and I do believe that he just didn't like getting hit, and I do believe that you know, that was his biggest downfall, but he was still a beast. Those rabid punches that he would ground and pound people with were crazy. He's ginormous. His wrestling is elite, and he's just big and he's athletic. So that's what you got to be when you're in the WWE. No matter what anybody talks shit about that, you still have to be athletic. You still have to be in shape, and yeah, there's a lot of those guys that can hold their own. So what he came in and did was crazy, especially to beat legends like, you know, Randy Couture and Frank Mir and other people that he beat. So, yeah, it's just nuts. Nuts to think about all the things that happened in the past. But, yeah, I've been around for a while. I got caught up back in memory lane right there. Appreciate that, though, Rent Free, for asking the questions and interacting. Stick around and keep going if you'd like. I appreciate all the interaction in the chat always. I try to, you know, answer questions and stuff as I go. I keep the show going, but I'll still stop and answer questions throughout the show. So if you have any questions or anything like that, I will either get to it shortly or I will answer it now. And Rent Free, stick around. In like a couple minutes, I'm going to start the actual show with all my visuals and stuff. So I will answer that question in just a minute. Let me get through my sponsors real quick. Noctane Smelling Salt. This is my sponsor for the podcast. I use this product all the time. I was using it this weekend as we went and played some golf, collabing with my buddy Golf and Glory, Mr. Clark. He's been around in the watch parties, so we shot a little bit of content here and there and played some golf and had some fun with the smelling salts. So let me get myself nice and alert and awake here with a good whiff of some smelling salts. It's going to be tough to watch. This is the most potent bottle, though, the red cap. You can get lesser potencies, so don't worry. But if you want to give it a try, hit that QR code or check out the link in the description below. Oh yeah, that was a good one. Woo! My eyes water and I always cough. That's just my reaction. Oh my gosh! But let me tell you, everything's brighter and I'm awake. Smelling salts, if you don't know what they are, read into it. Go check out the website. It'll tell you all about it, give you all the information you need. It's a great product, Noctane. It's not just because they sponsor me. I was doing smelling salts from before, and I actually like this product better. You can get different scents, different potencies. Hit that link in the description below or that QR code, and you can check out what I'm talking about. Let me turn the fan back on because it's hot in here. And let's get to the show. And Rent Free, if you're still here, hopefully you are. I'm about to answer your question in just a minute. So let's get to it. Let me turn off this first. I actually forgot that. Let's get rid of that. And here we go. So, UFC, as I said, no more ESPN Plus after this year. Starting January 2026, there will not be any more pay-per-views, and we will not be watching UFC on ESPN Plus anymore. It'll be moving over to Paramount Plus / CBS because they're also going to have some events on CBS as well. So that's the overall picture. $7.7 billion deal for 7 years. So $1.1 billion a year for the UFC to broadcast on Paramount Plus and CBS. That is an astronomical amount of money. It is insane. Especially when you look at the deal they had with ESPN Plus and realize that they basically doubled the revenue that they're getting per year. So not only for the entire deal doubled, but per year they're getting double the amount they were at ESPN Plus. So Paramount Plus is really trying to make some moves. Putting up that amount of money is so crazy. And the fact that the UFC went with them, from everything I've read, it sounds like within the last 48 hours is when they decided that they would go ahead and go, if we can get rid of pay-per-views in 2026, can we make OnlyFans free too? Oh shit. Listen, man, if you go to the right sites, OnlyFans can be free too.
Bruh.
That shit was funny though. I'll give you that. Mr. C the Informed Spectator. It's a long ass name, bro, but that shit was funny. Oh man, yes, pay-per-views are free now. Starting in January, that is. You gotta wait till 2026. This is the problem. And first, let me get Renfree's question out of the way. I'll hit that one back up real quick. Wait, you get a Sydney Sweeney? You get everyone gets a Sydney Sweeney. Mr. C coming out swinging with some good takes here. Shit's fucking funny. Back to Renfree's question: is Paramount deal good or bad? Here's the thing. Paramount being the Paramount deal is good for the UFC brass, right? The higher ups, the stockholders, all them. Of course, they're gonna make fucking money on money, and it makes the UFC even more mainstream than it was before, because now almost so many people have Paramount Plus because of watching any of your favorite shows, any of your favorite I don't know, whatever whatever the programming is on Paramount Plus. There's a lot of big shows on Paramount Plus, so most people probably have it already. And if you don't, you only got to pay one price to get it. And I'm sure they're going to structure something, but you only got to pay that price to get it, and then you don't have to pay anymore for pay-per-views. We're paying $13.99, $12.99, $14.99, whatever the fucking price was for ESPN Plus. Sure, if you bundled it with Disney Plus and Hulu, you got it basically for a cheaper amount, or whatever the thing is. But if you pay the price tag, you know, that they put it out there for, then you're paying that price per month, plus you're paying $80 per month for a pay-per-view. So yeah, you get all the fight nights, cool, that's great, but then you got to pay for the pay-per-views. So you have to pay for the subscription, and then you got to pay for the pay-per-views, and it's like, what the fuck, man? Meet us somewhere in the middle. Don't stop hiking the prices of the pay-per-views. That's what I kept saying is annoying. Just continuously kept going up by $5. And sure, $5 doesn't seem like shit, but when you started at 45, when you started at $40, the next thing you know, it's doubled. Yeah, within however many amount of years. But the thing is every single fucking month you're having to pay that if you're a fan like I am. So that shit sucks. That's a lot of fucking money. And if you're tight on cash that month, I mean, you're still shelling out that money if you're a fan like me. So it's a big difference when you don't have to pay for every single pay-per-view. Now they're just premium events that are gonna probably have the best cards, or will they? That's what goes back to Rent-Free's question, which is Paramount deal good or bad? Well, there's various different aspects to it. $80 per pay-per-view, right? Yep, Infinity, that's what I'm paying. Except recently, maybe over the past 6 months, maybe a little more than that, if you buy it ahead of time, then you get it for $10 off. But if you happen to forget, which by the way, I just bought the pay-per-view last night for this week coming up, because it was the last day to get the $10 off. I've missed it for the past couple months, so I've been paying the full 80. Otherwise it's 70. Either way, 70, 80 bucks, that's a lot of money every single fucking month. And it sucks, especially when you're getting 2 a month like we did in July or in June for the international fans, does it charge much? No, internationally, most of the deals that happen internationally, like say Ireland, Europe, they get it for free with the services that they have out there because of the deal that the UFC has internationally. So they don't even know what it's like to pay, but for them, they have to stay up until 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning before the event even starts, obviously because of time zones and all that, right? So that's the price they have to pay, is they get it ruined for them when they wake up in the morning because they didn't get up and watch the event, or they couldn't stay up and watch the event. So they get it ruined for them on social media unless you shut everything out and you wake up and you turn it on first thing. Otherwise, you're probably going to find out what happened. So that's the price they pay. And some might say that's better, but some might say that that's still not great. And I don't know, this goes back into that question, is it a good thing or not? Well, it could be bad because the start times might change. If you're putting on a big event on CBS, they're going to want to put it on at prime time for what area? Is it going to be prime time in the West Coast? Is it going to be prime time centrally? Is it going to be prime time in, on the East Coast? Because if it's prime time on the East Coast, that makes it pretty early for us over here in Arizona. We're usually falling into the category of getting it right at actual prime time, like 7, 8 o'clock start time for the main cards, because we're so close to Nevada. They usually go off of Vegas. That's what they do for the most part, because they're based out of Vegas, right? So that's the prime time they go off of right now. What are they going to do when 2026 comes around? I don't know. So that could be a bad for all of it. Get rid of daylight savings time. I mean, there you go. Who cares about international fans? Damn, rent free.
Damn, son.
No, it's funny, man. Just he said just kidding for everybody that wants to be offended out there. But this shit is funny. So here's the thing though, I'm gonna go in this direction here, because for the international fans it might still suck, because whatever, but that's for them to deal with, right? We have to deal with paying $80 a month, and now we don't have to. So now what's gonna happen with the time? Is the time gonna change? I don't know. That could be good, it could be bad, depends on who you are and what your situation is. The good part is, it makes everything free, so we get to save a lot of fucking money. On top of that, of course, the UFC is gonna grow, because there's no way it can't, because now it's just gonna be more out there, I guess you could say. And then on top of all of that, the UFC is obviously making bank, which means hopefully they can start paying their fighters more money. But that's when it comes to the bad part, because I don't know that the fighters are going to get any kind of a cut out of this money. $1.1 billion a year. Will the fighters see any of that? I highly doubt it. And that's what a lot of people are talking about right now, is will the fighters see more money? I don't think they will. We have never seen them get a huge pay increase because of any kind of big deals that they've had in the past. The ESPN deal was big. They didn't see any kind of pay increase. They got a basically the clothing deal, an accessory deal. They didn't see. They do have money now, but that's because they got their sponsors taken away. They can't wear their sponsors on their shirts, on their hats, on their shorts, and that was big money for a lot of fighters. So that kind of shit changed. And now with this, you would think, hey, they doubled what they're gonna make a year. Will the fighter see any of that? I don't think so. In fact, the fighters are actually missing out on more money. Brendan Schaub thinks it's bad for the fighters. It's exactly what I'm getting to, rent free. And this is one of the things I thought about in the beginning, because I have talked about fighter pay in the past. I don't harp on it too much because there's nothing I can fucking do about it. If the bigger name content creators out there can't do shit about it, neither can I, right? But yeah, the bad part is all those guys that make money off of the pay-per-view points, that goes away. There's no more pay-per-view points. Now, that hasn't been much lately because we don't have guys like Conor McGregor out there. We don't have all the big name stars, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, all the big names that were bringing lots of eyes to the pay-per-views. For crying out loud, the Conor McGregor has 8 out of the 10 highest earning pay-per-views in history. 8 out of fucking 10. Now, you know, Conor McGregor is never going to shut the fuck up about that. He will always have that to live off of, is that he owns 8 out of the 10 highest pay-per-views ever, including the biggest pay-per-view ever for the UFC. So if you ever want to say,
who the fuck is that guy?
That's who the fuck that guy is. He was entertaining regardless of his own problems. He definitely was. But that's the thing is, you know, if you hated his arrogance, that shit'll never go away, because now nobody can ever top him. Nobody can ever beat that record of having that many of the top earning UFC pay-per-views. Everyone can discount it by saying, who gives a shit, the pay-per-views are over now, come 3, 4, 5 years down the road. But he's always going to have it to hang his hat on. And people are already saying, hey, there'll never be another Conor McGregor. Well, yeah, no shit, because there's no more pay-per-views. But still, no one has been able to come even close to that in recent times anyway. So you still got to give it up to Conor for being able to gain that much traction and get that many eyes on the sport. That's why he's as rich as he is. Not to mention he's a good businessman. So I give Conor his props because of what he did for the sport, including Ronda Rousey as well. All of the mainstream eyes that she brought to this sport because of what she did and how popular she was. I owe a lot of respect to both of those fighters for that. Renfrey says, what happens to Dana White's Contender Series tough and Power Slap? Well, Power Slap is a whole different thing. So nobody gives a shit about Power Slap. At least I don't. But I mean, I guess it is what it is. But Power Slap is its own thing. It may fall under the UFC banner, but I don't know. It probably is going to go wherever. They do it on YouTube, so it doesn't matter. It's never been a part of the deal. But they couldn't promote very well. But Dana White's Contender Series and the Ultimate Fighter, that's a good question. I heard earlier that is not included in this, so they're still finding a home for that. Will they leave it on ESPN Plus? I don't know. Will they move it over somewhere else? Maybe Netflix? Because they were talking about Netflix being a part of the deal anyway. But I don't know. That's yet to be seen. No confirmation on what's happening with that, but it is not part of this deal. And who knows? Are they going to keep going with the Ultimate Fighter? The Ultimate Fighter's been dead for years. They haven't been able to bring... I didn't even watch. I watched the first 2 episodes of this season. Last season, I barely watched any episodes too. And I used to be diehard Ultimate Fighter fan. So, Dana White's Contender Series will be free on the UFC YouTube channel. Probably. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, is they'll get money out of it if they can. So, and those are big pieces of the puzzle because of the Ultimate Fighter and the name and the history. So who knows? That's yet to be seen. But the biggest issue here is the fighter pay and the fact that none of this is going to go to the fighters. And the big names that were getting pay-per-view points, and you know, being a champion was a good thing, because you get the belt, you get the recognition, but you also get those pay-per-view points, and that's more money. And now that's gone. So yeah, that takes away from that. So maybe it won't matter, maybe it will, who knows. And that's the other thing with this is, are we going to get lesser fight cards, I guess you could say. Fight cards that aren't as great. We're already getting fight cards that people don't want to pay $80 for. And that's why pay-per-views have been going down and down and down, because nobody wants to pay $80 for a fight card when they used to be stacked back in the days. And then all of a sudden now you're getting like two really good fights with big names, and then the rest of them are like, this could have been a fight. You know, this could have been a fight night. Bring back short sponsors. Yeah, exactly. Let them make their money where they can. But I think they see, you know, social media, podcasts, and everything else like that as other revenues, other areas to get revenue for the fighters if they put their, you know, effort into it. But the thing is their job is fighting. So let them do what they can while they're fighting to make the money, which sponsors on the shorts was part of it. Yeah, sure, it was getting out of hand with Condom Depot and shit like that. But, you know, nowadays it'd probably be like Blue Chew, OnlyFans, and and I don't think they don't want that kind of shit, you know. I don't know. They don't want that kind of shit being advertised, maybe. Make an unlimited class, PEDs allowed, and all like when it started. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so like just a free-for-all type league, I guess you could say. But I mean, they'll never do that. That has to do with sanctioning and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure they could get away with it somehow. They could find a way, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, at least. So yeah, there's some bad parts to this deal. The best part though is that a lot of us who pay a fuckload of money every single month, it's a great thing. I feel bad for the fighters that are losing out on money because of this. Should WMMA be separate like the NBA? No. I could see why. I think because the WNBA came in so much later than the NBA, I think that's why it's such a separate entity like that. And I feel like, you know, for the longest time, just women's sports was disrespected and wasn't, you know, it wasn't popular for any women's sport really. So I think fighting is different. A lot of people don't like to see it, but a lot of people do. And there's been some big name, you know, women's fighters, including, and obviously most of all, Ronda Rousey. And I mean, look at Kayla Harrison now. She may not be the gigantic star, but she's still one of those fighters out there that has some recognition on her name. Amanda Nunes being the GOAT for the women's division overall. She's coming back, so we'll see. But I don't think they'll never like separate it. I mean, we saw a weight class leave with the 145 division, the featherweight division, but that's because they couldn't find women to fight in it. So it's just tough. It's tough. And I mean, it's grown so much, but at the same time, I talk shit all the time about how the fights are real boring sometimes. A lot of times, a lot of decisions. There's no real superstars. But the thing is, lately, no matter all that shit I talked lately, a lot of the women's fights have been very exciting. A lot of finishes, good knockouts, which you hardly ever see with the women. Submissions, yeah, you see that a lot more. But mostly decisions, but we've been seeing a lot of knockouts lately, so that's a good thing for women's MMA. So let's see what Dana White's statement this morning. 7.7 billion. This historic deal with Paramount and CBS is incredible for UFC fans and our athletes. Oh, yeah, I don't know about that one, but for the first time ever, fans in the US will have access to all UFC content without a pay-per-view model, making it more affordable and accessible to view the greatest fights on a massive platform. The deal puts UFC amongst the biggest sports in the world. The exposure provided by Paramount and CBS networks under the new structure is a huge win for our athletes and anyone who watches and loves the sport. Which, yes, anyone who watches and loves the sport, and for the UFC, yes. For the athletes, not so much. Yeah, they're getting all kinds of exposure. I get that. That's what they're aiming at, but that doesn't help them much if people are not as interested as if they were to go out there and hustle for their sponsors and be able to promote them during their fights. Get rid of the BS weight cuts and measure hydration. No, hydration doesn't work either, man. I hate to say it. I was on that bandwagon for a minute, but one championship has shown and proved that the hydration stuff doesn't work. They know how to get around that too, and it fast tracked the sorry, man. I agree with getting rid of the weight cuts. I do believe that that's a good thing, and that would be a good thing. But one championship proved that model doesn't work. And my honest thoughts, rant free, on one championship is that it's a dying entity right now. Unfortunately, they lost all their big stars. As you've seen, a lot of their fighters have left. Demetrius Johnson retired. He was one of their biggest stars, and that it was just his time, so that's good. But RDR being a double champ there, gone. All the big name UFC fighters that went over there are all gone. And they focused a lot more on the Muay Thai, grappling, and kickboxing, portions of their organization, which is fine. And yeah, there you go. Rampage said that should they only stick to Muay Thai and kickboxing? I feel like that's where they're headed, but I do think that they're still interested in the MMA aspect of things, and they're not going to let it die unless they have no choice. But it sounds to me, all the rumors and stuff I've seen and heard is that One Championship's not doing well, and it's just like PFL. You know, they have fights like every weekend, the Friday night fights, and then when their big events come around, they're on Amazon. But it's like, man, you don't hear much about it, you don't see much about it, and there's no big highlights or anything like that really coming out of there. So, you know, we used to see a ton coming from One Championship. So it sucks. I would much prefer to see PFL and One Championship doing really well. That way fighters have somewhere else to go and a way to bargain, you know, not bargain, but you know what I'm saying, to try to make deals with the UFC, because it's like, hey, I can go make this over there. Can you match that? Can you get better than that? You know, that's what I meant earlier. Their promotion was trash. Oh, okay. Got you. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Their promotion, they just don't have the money the UFC does. They don't have the power that UFC has. As you can see by Dana's face in this picture, he looks like a villain. It's just that found a way to get everybody's money. But yeah, so that's your that's the news, man. And we haven't had big news coming out. UFC is like Amazon these days. Yeah. At this point, how do you save the UFC heavyweight division? You get some fucking fighters that are worth a shit. They should have never let Ngannou go, for one. But because of egos and bullshit, they let that go. They shouldn't let John Jones just walk around and do whatever the fuck he wants. Just because he's a GOAT doesn't mean shit. I don't think. I think that they squandered things with John Jones and Conor, letting them have too much power. But they've always had problems with John. So I think that's why Dana was like, fuck it, who cares? He doesn't want to fight anyway. Even though he says he's coming back, who knows? And Conor too. But the heavyweight division, they just need to scout, man. They need to go out there and find the best fighters and pay them well enough to get them over to the UFC. But they feel like those three letters will carry them. And that's the biggest problem. The three letters carry everything. It's about the organization and not about any particular athlete. That's the biggest problem with the UFC right now. That's why there's no stars. There's no superstars, I should say. We had a few that were on the come up, and then they lost all their luster, you know? It's unfortunate, but it's fucking true. And when they don't go out of their way to promote or hold up any particular fighter to a standard that they were holding all these other guys up to, and women, there's not going to be growth. Someone really has to step out and do something. And while we have Ilya Topuria being as big as he is in Spain and other places internationally, same with Tom Aspinall, Paddy Pimblett, they're fucking stars in other places. But in the US, we don't have any big stars. We don't even have any goddamn champs right now. The only US champ we have right now is Kayla Harrison. That's it. One women's fighter is the only US champion right now. It's insane. In my opinion, heavyweight MMA in general is going extinct. I don't think so, man. I think the heavyweights are always going to be considered the baddest men on the planet to a certain extent, and it's always going to bring eyes. But what do you think of Frederick Vosgroen, the German Neanderthal? I saw this dude on TikTok. Is he for real or just another pretty face? Seriously, he looks intimidating. Honestly, I don't know who the fuck that is. PVG, you got me, man. I don't know who that is. No clue. If you know who he fights for, I'll look into him. Or what he does, but I've never heard of that guy. So you might have stumbled across someone that a lot of people don't know about, maybe. So yeah, that's it, man. I think the heavyweight division, I don't think the heavyweight division will die. You know, they tried to get rid of the lightest weight, the flyweights, and that didn't happen either. There's always going to be peaks and valleys, right? So every division goes through it. It's just the heavyweight division was the top of everything for the longest time because it was always regarded as the baddest man on the planet was a heavyweight and was the heavyweight champion that could beat everybody. Big knockouts. But this is MMA. So it goes up and down in various different divisions, and it's just a matter of time before someone comes out and, you know, takes the spotlight. If Tom cleans out the division when we see Tom versus Francis, I don't think we're going to see Francis do anything unless he puts his mind to it and gets past all the trauma he's had in his recent past between losing his child and being involved in that accident where the woman passed away. He's got a lot of trauma. He didn't even show up for the PFL Africa event, the first one ever, which he's the ambassador for. And that was one part of the biggest deal that they made with him, was that he was going to head up PFL Africa. It came and went, and he was nowhere to be found. And it sounds like the owner is not too happy with that. And I don't blame him. But at the same time, you got to look at what Francis has been through. So until we see Francis out in the public eye again and back to fighting on a normal basis, we're not going to see him against Tom ever. Tom's going to wind up running through the division and being a crazy champ for a little while and wind up retiring. Or it's going to be the same like with John Jones. It's gonna come and go, and Francis will be nowhere to be found, unfortunately, unless he turns things around pretty quickly. So that kind of sucks. PVG, that dude is only 4-0, so not known well enough in the States. Oh, okay, so it's just an up-and-comer guy. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those guys out there. And I mean, I'll definitely look them up to see what you're talking about, because I like to, you know, pay attention to the guys that are up and coming. You never know. But yeah, I'll take a look. So anyway, there you go. UFC pay-per-view done after 2025. Starting 2026, you got to have Paramount Plus, and you got to pay attention to where things are going and what's happening and time changes possibly and everything else. So be aware, be alert, get yourself some Noctane and be ready for it. All right, so here we go. Let's get into, looks like a swole Paddy Pimblett. Oh shit. If he's as good as Paddy, I guess that could be a good thing. Hopefully he doesn't have the same hair though. Let's get into the recap of UFC Vegas 109, I'm sorry. 109. And yeah, we had, man, this was a lot of people that didn't have a lot of hope for this event. But I felt like there were some good matchups in this event, and I was liking some of the matchups, honestly, including this main event between Roman Dolidze and Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. So in the end, I mean, I told you guys last week that are you on Tapology? Yeah, that is actually what I do use for. That is what I use for my references. Depends on what you mean by are you on Tapology. If you just mean do I jump on it and look at it all the time? Yes. Am I on it in any other fashion or way? No. So yeah. But that's my main source of references. That and SureDog. I mean, SureDog's kind of outdated, but they still provide some good info, so I still go to them too. Predictions? Oh no, I don't do any of that, man. I do my predictions here, and that's about it. Oh, and then Combat Sports Today, I do staff picks there because I collab with them. So I do fighter interviews with them and stuff. So if you haven't seen them, you can go check out my YouTube channel, this channel, obviously. I've done a couple fighter interviews, and I actually have another interview coming up, but it's not a fighter. It's a founder of an organization, and it's some different kind of stuff, I'll say that. But that'll be coming soon this week, actually. So it'll be interesting. I think a little bit different, but still in the combat sports realm. So be aware, pay attention for that. If you're not subscribed, please do hit that notification bell as well, so you know when I'm putting out content. So when I do interviews and stuff like that, they don't go live. They're pre-recorded, and then I release them later. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. But yeah, Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. It was a good main event, man. Hernandez just dominated. That's really all that can be said. Dolidze didn't do what a lot of people thought he was going to be able to do. But I told you before, I kept fading Fluffy and I kept regretting it when I was when I was betting on the fights all the time. I would always bet against Fluffy, and I always made that mistake because he kept winning. He's now on an 8-fight win streak. So that's really all there is to it. I predicted Hernandez by submission in 4. Oh, damn. That's a hell of a call. That's a hell of a call right there, Renfree. Good job. But yeah, I mean, I picked him to win in my staff picks for Combat Sports today. You can go check out their channel as well. Lots of combat sports news and updates and all that. Fighter interviews. Their YouTube channel is good, and you'll see me on it as well. And then go check out all their social media, because that's where they post the staff picks and all that. But I went 4-2 the first week we did it. I went 4-2 last week as well. So yeah, I'll let you know which fights I missed as I go through them here. Let's get to the first fight of the night. Eric McConaughey versus Cody Brundage. A lot of people were high on Brundage on this one, but McConaughey is one of those sneaky guys. You don't really know his name outright, but yeah, he's a pretty damn good fighter, and he just put in work against Brundage and pretty much 10-2 on the card. Oh, nice. Yeah, we only picked the main card, so I went 4-2. So, but yeah, 10-2 for the whole thing. Shit, were you betting, or was that just predictions on Tapology? Because if you bet on that, I might have got you some money. I quit betting for a while ago. I just suck at betting. I think too much about it. Casual, yeah, that's how I do it. So I don't even like making picks, honestly. I do the fight wheel predictions. So if you haven't seen that before, on my preview shows, which are almost always on Thursdays, I do the fight wheel predictions, and I leave it random. I spin a wheel and see what the wheel thinks as far as who's gonna win. So you can see that on Thursday coming up this week when I do my preview for UFC 319. Is that, yeah, 319. I'm getting all my numbers mixed up. Anyway, McConaughey gets the win here by split decision. I mean, Brundage made it a bit of a fight, but McConaughey came out on top. I mean, there was really, split decision, but to me, it kind of seemed like it was obvious that McConaughey won that one. So next up, we had the women. Gabriela Fernandez versus Julia Stoliarenko, and holy shit, Stoliarenko is, she had those 2 armbar wins back to back. I think they were back to back. No, her last 2 wins were by armbar in the first round, one of which she got a bonus for. In between that, she had a loss, and now she's on a 2-fight losing streak again. And you know, she got a decision loss in this one, but Fernandez looks so good and so sharp in this fight. As you can see, she busted up Stoliarenko in that right hand picture. Her eyes all bloodied up, and Fernandez just looked good. She looked smooth, fast, and she just picked apart Stoliarenko and finished her. So now Stoliarenko's on a 2-fight losing streak, and Fernandez is, where did that go? Fernandez is now on a 3-fight win streak. She had 2 bonuses in her last 2 fights, 1 fight of the night, 1 performance of the night against Carly Judice and Kong Wang. And now she gets the unanimous decision win. No bonus this time against Stoliarenko, but still is on a 3-fight winning streak. So that was a pretty good fight there. Next up, we had the first finish of the night. Euros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. Man, Urbina and his brothers that have been in the UFC, and they just have not done well. But Euros Medic is kind of a badass, man. He's definitely one of those guys that you have to look out for. You know, he has losses and, you know, win loss type deal in his past few fights, but he's one of those guys that when you see him fight, you kind of are like, ooh, I don't know what's gonna happen here. And I mean, if he gets caught and gets finished, it is what it is. But while he's in the fight, he's really in the fight, and so it's always tough because you're like worried a little bit as to whether if you bet against him. But he comes off of a loss to Punahele Serrano. Yeah, that was a quick one too. 31 seconds in the first round, he gets TKO'd. but he comes back against Urbina, and just a little bit longer, 1:03 in the first round, he TKOs Gilbert Urbina with a straight left. As you can see, folds him to the ground, finishes him with some ground and pound, and gets the first finish of the night for UFC Vegas 109. Next up, back to the women, and we have a finish by the women here, which was pretty fucking impressive, honestly. Jocelyn Edwards, when I first started watching her, I was just kind of like, oof, this girl's kind of rough. She's sloppy with her striking, and she just doesn't seem to be able to put it together. But she's since then has turned it around quite a bit. She got a performance of the night bonus here with this TKO over Priscilla Cachueta, and it was 2 minutes and 24 seconds into the first round. She gets a good combination. Man, she was putting combinations together real well. She was real good on her feet, good foot movement, and she was, working those angles, and she was putting together some good combinations. And this one was like a step back into just, I think it was a 2 or 3 punch combination, but she was landing so flush. She does wing her punches a little bit. I wouldn't say she loads up, but she doesn't throw real tight straight punches. They're kind of out and circled a little bit, but she gets some good power off of it. If she gets a good boxer that can get inside on her, she's not going to be able to land a lot of those big punches that she's landing on some of these girls, especially against Cachueta in this one. But if she tightens up those combinations and really sticks in there and stops being so kind of loose with it, I think she's gonna be even better than she's looked recently. She's 7-4 in the UFC now, but that she is now on a 3-fight win streak. She had a submission over Tamiris Vidal, a TKO win over Chelsea Chandler in the first round, and this makes her second TKO win in the first round, and she gets a bonus here for her finish against Priscilla Cachueta. 2 first-round finishes by TKO, and then a third-round submission to make for her 3-fight win streak. Before that, she had lost 2 in a row. She had some beef with Aylin Perez, and she wound up losing that fight by unanimous decision, as well as to Nora Cornelli. Before that, though, she was on a 3-fight win streak as well. So it looks like she's got this pattern going: 2 losses, 3 wins, 2 losses, 3 wins. We'll see if she stays in that win column and makes it 4 in a row in her next fight, or if she follows that pattern and turns it into a loss. Next up, though, the most exciting one of the night, we had, oh shit, I pressed the wrong button. We had the biggest, craziest finish of the night. I know Rent Free, you would know, Infinity, you would know as well. Quentin Rampage Jackson. I mean, if you've been watching for that long, you know who the fuck that is. Rampage in Pride was the shit. Rampage was fucking hilarious and a champion and a great fighter in the UFC as well. But in Pride, he had that crazy fucking classic name. Yeah. He had that crazy fucking power bomb slam KO against Ricardo Arona in Pride. And man, let me tell you, this was like the mirror fucking image of that. This one might have been worse. I don't know. Because Rampage actually slammed his head against Arona's, slammed his face against Arona's head when he slammed him. That's how much force he came down with. And after he stood up and celebrated, you could see the blood pouring down his face when he wasn't bleeding before, because he slammed his head to get, against Arona. But wish I saw this. Oh yeah, dude. And so Elijah Smith gets caught in a triangle attempt by Kazama, and he fucking turns it into a power slam of his own. It was insane. And Smith, if you watch the slow-mo replay, you see Smith gets on his tippy toes as he's lifting Kazama up in the air, gets on his tippy toes, puts his hand in front of Kazama's face and guides him down as he puts all of that force onto Kazama's head and literally drops him head first on the back of his head against the mat. It was absolutely insane. I couldn't fucking believe it. I was going nuts. It was, dude, I wish I could show it here. That's how much I want to see it again. I've watched it a few times. I even made a TikTok about it. So if you don't follow me on TikTok, go check it out. Infinity, I know you do, so you can go see my video there where I put Rampage's slam and Smith's slam together in the video. You can see them both. But yeah, man, it was nuts. And then he follows up just like Rampage did with 2 fucking heavy hammers to the face. It was nuts. And man, people were actually scared for Kazama. He didn't move for what felt like a few minutes. Finally, he, comes to and opens his eyes, and, he's awake. So everyone's still wondering, like, what's happening? Is he going to be okay? But yeah, he went and had In-N-Out Burger after and said, well, that sucked or something like that. So he's all right. I mean, as for now, but I mean, that's some significant damage to the head. But as one of the most exciting fucking finishes I've seen in quite a while, since probably Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje, that was just so crazy. But this one was just so powerful, the impact, and then the nostalgia from Rampage, just seeing him do what Rampage did. We saw a slam KO. It was like someone was trying for like an armbar or something, and his opponent grabbed him from the side and slammed him on the side of his head and knocked him out that way. I can't remember. I wish I could remember what fight that was. It was probably last year, I think, if not the year before. So we have seen a slam KO like this not that long ago. I think in that night it happened twice actually, but I wish I could remember what it was. But yeah, so I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened, but it hasn't happened in this way in a long ass time. If you're an old school fan too, you remember Matt Hughes and Carlos Newton, where Newton tried to get the triangle as well on Matt Hughes, and Matt Hughes, being the fucking pit bull that he is, grabs Newton, puts him up against the cage, almost like he's gonna throw him over, and then he takes a step back and slams Newton on his head, knocks him out. But Matt Hughes also knocked himself out in the process because he bashed heads together with him, and he knocked himself out as well, which wasn't really pointed out as much in the beginning. But he came to and looked around and was like, and stood up, and obviously he gets the win. But that was another crazy slam KO from back in the day. So I mean, this is reminiscent of all of that. It was just nuts, man. It was fun to watch. Hughes built like a short refrigerator. Yeah, not anymore after that tragic, like, crazy accident that he had. Now he like barely moves, but he's still up and at it. So yeah, I'm glad for that. But yeah, he had such a crazy build. It was nuts. So yeah, Elijah Smith with the big insane knockout. Fucking definitely gonna be up for one of the knockouts of the year. I mean, look, he folded Kazama in half. That's how much force he brought down on that slam. And then you see the crazy celebration. The picture on the far right. Anyway, moving on into, let's see, the last fight of the prelims. We have Julius Walker versus Rafael Carcaria. And this was a back and forth fight, man. It wound up in a unanimous decision win for Walker, but Carcaria was getting the best of Walker for a little bit there in the middle of the fight. And for a minute, I was like, what the hell's happening here? Because Walker seemed to be doing well in the beginning. And I was kind of in and out on this fight. But from what I saw of it, there was a lot of back and forth. Walker was in trouble at one point in time, but he turned it around and was able to get the unanimous decision win and improves to 7-1. He was coming off a loss to Alonzo Menefield, but before that he was on a good win streak coming into the UFC. His first fight in the UFC is against Alonzo Menefield, which is a tough first fight, and he got a split decision loss on that one, but he did get a fight of the night, so it was a good fight. And then he comes in and gets his first win against Rafael Carcaria, who was also looking for his first win in the UFC, but now drops to 0-3 in the UFC, and he's been finished all 3 times, which is tough, and which means getting cut might be coming next for him. He lost to Ibo Aslan, Modestas Bukauskas, and now Julius Walker. So they kind of gave him some a little more well-known names, guys that have a few more fights in the UFC, and then worked him down after 2 losses to a guy who was 0-1 in the UFC, and then he loses to him too to now become 0-3. I don't know if they give him another chance. But that's 0-3, and he has no wins in the UFC, and he's gotten finished in all 3 fights. It's never a good sign. So we'll see what happens with that, and if he gets another chance in the UFC. So that brings us over to the main card, and we got Christian Leroy Duncan versus Eric Anders. Eric Anders, I think it is. I always say Anders. I feel like that's the way it should be said, but I guess it's Anders. But yeah, so in my picks, I picked Anders in this one just because Christian Leroy Duncan, he's got everything to get him this win for sure. My biggest thing was Anders is more of a vet, and kind of his fighting style is a little different. So I felt like maybe he would be able to pull it out, because Christian Leroy Duncan's last loss was to Gregory Rodriguez, and while I feel like he's definitely better than Eric Anders, I feel like Anders could put the pressure on CLD like RoboCop did, and push forward and you know, kind of get him to shut down a little bit. But Anders was not able to really do that. CLD was coming off of a win over Andre Pulev by unanimous decision. And yeah, first round finish for CLD in this one, and he caught Anders with a knee, as you can see in that middle picture. That kick wasn't a whole lot, but that middle picture is the knee up the middle that CLD caught him with, and that kind of hurt Anders a little bit. And then they went, you know, they separated and came back, and Duncan was able to get a spinning back elbow that caught Anders good, wobbled him, and then Christian Leroy Duncan was able to, you know, put the finishing punches on him, as you can see in that right hand picture. Catches him, drops him, and finishes him on the ground. 3 minutes 53 seconds into the first round, he gets the finish. And yeah, it was a pretty good fight while it lasted. Unfortunately, my first wrong pick of the night, but I only had 2 that I was wrong on, and this was one of them. And I kind of felt like I shouldn't have gone with this one, but it was kind of up in the air. I mean, Anders was coming off of a win over Chris Weidman, which he looked really good in. But here's the thing, Chris Weidman, that was his retirement fight, and yeah, the thing is Weidman actually did pretty well in that fight. So I should have known better, but I just kind of went with my gut and tried to, I don't know, just try to see if maybe Anders could get the upset, and it didn't work out. But I mean, he's had some wins over some decent names in the past, and, you know, strength of schedule and stuff like that. I was kind of just giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I was wrong. So Christian Leroy Duncan gets a performance of the night bonus for that TKO win there in the first round over Eric Anders. That leads us to the second fight in the main card, John Matsumoto versus Miles Johns. And yeah, this fight, I mean, I went with Matsumoto, who did wind up getting the win by split decision, but not before Miles Johns gave him a really great fight. These guys went back and forth as well. Miles Johns had Matsumoto looking kind of like he had him on the ropes for a minute, but overall, Matsumoto was able to turn it around and, you know, land the bigger shots and get the win over Miles Johns. I mean, nothing too crazy going on in this fight. It was entertaining, you know, throughout the time that it lasted all 3 rounds. But yeah, just no big takeaways here. It was just a hard fought fight. Split decision win for Matsumoto. And I got that one right in my picks. Next up, we had Andre Fili versus Christian Rodriguez. And hold on. Did I get 3 wrong? I might have gotten 3 wrong, and I thought I only got 2 wrong. Now I'm wondering. Let me look. I'm gonna look it up real quick. 1. Oh no, I did only get 2 wrong. So this was the second fight I got wrong, and that's because no, I did get 3 wrong. Wait a minute. No, I got two wrong. I'm back and forth. Gotta run and catch up. Okay, Infinity, appreciate you. So yeah, I only got two wrong. Sorry. This was the second fight I got wrong because I went with C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez. You know, he's that guy that people kind of underestimate a little bit. I mean, he was coming off a loss to Melquizel Costa, but so was Andre Fili. But Fili is that guy who wins, loss, wins, loss, wins, loss. That's what he does all the time. There's a lot of those kind of fighters on this card, so it was tough to make picks because you just don't know. Like, they're so back and forth on their record, and it's tough. And they lose to bigger name fighters, they win to bigger name fighters, they lose to lesser known fighters, they win to, you know what I mean? So it makes it hard to just really make a pick, at least for me. But they're both coming off of a loss to the same guy. He was actually 1-2 in his last 3 fights with only a win over Austin Bashi. He had lost to Julian Erosa before this as well. So, I mean, but C-Rod looked really good before that when he beat Joshua Weems, Raul Rosas Jr., Cameron Simon, and Isaac Dolgarian. He looked really good in all those fights, especially when he beat Rosas. That he handed Raul Rosas Jr. his first loss. So I was high on Christian Rodriguez, thinking that he did not look good. He did not look good at all in this fight. Andre Fili, James White, did Tank Abbott fight in this card? I think you might know the answer to that one. Oh man. Anyway, maybe he was joking, maybe not. He deleted the comment, so or the comment's gone, I'm not sure. But if you weren't joking, man, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make you feel bad, but that sounded like a joke, like someone trolling, because obviously Tank Abbott has not been in the UFC for quite a long time. But yeah, Andre Fili gets the split decision win here against C-Rod. And I mean, he looked pretty good. He just had a kid. He seemed real focused in the interviews I heard from him leading up to the fight. And yeah, I mean, he looked good in this fight. That's really all there is to it. C-Rod looked really bad, not taking anything away from Fili, but I feel like he didn't fight up to his potential, and that might have been his downfall, unfortunately. I don't know what was going on with him. It looked like he kind of had a bad weight cut, so that might have been a part of what happened. Maybe it was just a bad weight cut, bad camp, all of the above. Maybe Fili was just that good this night, but C-Rod gets the loss here by split decision. I mean, it's not like it was a runaway, but he definitely lost. Next up, another women's fight, the third of the night, the last one. Angela Hill versus Yasmin Lucindo. This was the fight I was thinking that I got wrong as well, because I was worried about Angela Hill. She's 40 years old. She's like 13-14 coming into this fight in the UFC. And yeah, with a record like that, but here's the thing, it's hard to bet against Angela Hill, because no matter how old she is and no matter how many times she loses, she's still tough as hell. She's still fast. She still has power, and she can stay in any fight. So it's, I don't know, man. It's hard to bet against her, and you're just worried. But Lucindo was coming in on some pretty decent wins, if I remember correctly, over Marina Rodriguez, Karolina Kowalkiewicz. She lost her last fight to Amanda Lemos by a unanimous decision, but Lemos is like at the top of that division right now. So, I mean, I can give her that one. But yeah, so she was trying to get back in the win column, and Angela Hill was the fighter that she had to try to do that with, and that's a tough opponent. Like I said, Angela Hill's that type to, you know, pull out a win over somebody she's not supposed to beat. Lucindo's kind of in that mid-range, mid-level type fighter, maybe higher mid-level, but that's usually the type of fighter that Angela Hill beats all the time. And then when you get to the upper echelon of fighters, that's when Angela Hill starts to crumble. She's never really been able to make it to that higher level, but in this fight, Lucindo was able to get the best of her and wind up with a unanimous decision win over Angela Hill. And that brings us to the co-main event, Steve Erceg versus Ode Osborne. Man, Erceg was supposed to fight Hyun-Sung Park. My dogs are barking. I wonder why. Usyk was supposed to fight Hyun-Sung Park, but Park got rebooked and stepped in against Tatsuro Taira. So then Usyk was also supposed to fight Alex Perez, and then Perez had to cancel because of injury. So he winds up with the late replacement of Ode Osborne. And this one was, this was tough because Steve Usyk is coming off of 3 losses. Now, those 3 losses were to the highest level of that division. So, it's not like he's losing to the lower level guys. He lost to Brandon Moreno, former champ, lost to Kai Kara France, who's, fought for the title a couple times, and then Alexandre Pantoja, the champ right now. And he almost beat Pantoja. He had a path to beat Pantoja, but he made some critical mistakes, and he winds up losing that fight against the champ. And then he just kind of spiraled after that. He got TKO'd by Kai Kara France, which Kai Kara France can do that to people. So, and then he gets a unanimous decision loss to Brandon Moreno, which, Moreno is one of those guys that people see kind of on the way down. He had so many fights for the title between defenses and fighting to win again that, and a lot of damage. So, a lot of people are thinking that Moreno's like on his way out on the last leg of his career and stuff, but it doesn't seem like it for the most part. But yeah, he gets a win in March over Steve Usyk. So that makes Usyk 0-3 in his last 3 fights. It's like, since he fought for the title, he hasn't won. He comes into this fight with the late replacement Ode Osborne. And he gets a unanimous decision win, which was much needed, because if he would have lost 4 times in a row, and then the 4th time being against a not as high level of a guy like Ode Osborne, that would have been bad for Usyk, and he probably would have got cut. Ode Osborne is 5-6 coming into this fight. He was coming off a win over Luis Gurul, where he got a performance of the night bonus TKO win in the 2nd round. But before that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak with losses to Ronaldo Rodriguez, Rafael Filio, and Asu Almabayev. There's a lot of losses on that record. So that's why I say if Usyk would have lost to Ode, then it would have been a bad thing for Steve Usyk. But he looked good coming into this fight. As you can see, he mounted Ode at one point, caught him with some good punches. At one point, I think Ode was able to get in on him a little bit, but in the end, Steve Usyk gets a unanimous decision win, and a much needed one. And hopefully this turns things around for him, because the potential he showed going into that Alexandre Pantoja fight, man, he was on a tear. And I feel like he has the potential to do that again, and to get back to the higher level of this division, and possibly fight for the title again. But he needs to put together some wins, and he needs to keep climbing that ladder of competition to make his way back into contention. So hopefully that happens for him. I like Usyk. He seems like a good dude, and I like the way he fights. So I just hope he gets out of this rut that he's been in, and hopefully this is his first step to getting out of that completely with this win. So that brings us to the main event, and that was Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And I always say Fluffy because it's fucking funny that that's his nickname. Yeah, it's just a funny ass nickname. But man, did he look good in this fight. Roman Dolidze, a lot of people were just thinking that Dolidze had this in the bag. And I'm not sure why, because Anthony Hernandez was on a 7-fight win streak. It was just like, why does everybody seem to think that Dolidze is the guy that's gonna run right through Hernandez? And maybe that's not what everyone thought, but that's kind of how people made it seem like it was a foregone conclusion that he was gonna beat Anthony Hernandez. And like I said earlier, I faded Hernandez so many times in my bets and my picks, and I just got tired of it, just like I do with DDP. I kept rooting against him, I kept picking against him, and he just kept winning. So it's hard for me to pick against DDP now. and I might have to stick with that coming up this week because against Chimaev, you know, it's a tough one to call. That's a tough one to pick, but I just feel like I can't keep picking against DDP. Same with Anthony Hernandez, and I picked him this week and I won on that one. He did get a performance of the night bonus here. He was just ragdolling Dolidze. Dolidze didn't even want to get off his back. He just kept getting to the ground, laying on his back and waiting for Fluffy to get down there with him, and Hernandez wasn't having any of it. He would take a step back, let him up. You know, he was, you know, making funny gestures and movements here and there, and just being Fluffy, you know. And in the end, he gets a performance in the night bonus win with his submission in the 4th round, which Rent Free said he called it. That's a pretty good call there. Submission win in the 4th round against Roman Dolidze. Dolidze was coming off a 3-fight win streak. He had a win over Anthony Smith, Kevin Holland, and Marvin Vettori. That Kevin Holland fight was a rib injury, but I mean, Dolidze caused it. Regardless, he got a TKO win for that anyway. Before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak where he also lost to Marvin Vettori and Nasruddin Imavov. You know, big names. So yeah, he had a 4-fight win streak at one point. 3 of those 4 fights having bonuses. So yeah, that's probably why people were so high on him. But I feel like, you know, the wins that he got don't match up to the wins that Fluffy had. For me, at least. I mean, he had a win over Brandon Allen. Matua, what's good? What's going on? Thanks for joining in. Thanks for jumping in. Appreciate you. Just finishing up here with the main event of UFC Vegas 109. Yeah, so Fluffy Hernandez had a win over Brendan Allen, performance of the night bonus against Michelle Pereira. Magix, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Or hear from you, I should say. I'm not seeing you, but I watched your show the other night, so I did kind of see you. Michelle Pereira, he had a performance of the night bonus there. Roman Kopylov, performance of the night bonus. Edmund Shabazian, Marc-Andre Barrio, Josh Fiend, Rodolfo Vieira, performance of the night bonus. These are all of his 7 wins, man. Juice Man, what's up? Welcome back. Matua, what's up, you little Jerry? Oh, someone else Juice Man knows. But yeah, Fluffy, man, he looked good in this fight. Dolidze did not. He got thrown around, and the way that he went out, man, that Fluffy with that choke where he just drug him across the cage by his neck. They called it a rear naked choke, but I mean, that was like, I don't know. That was a crazy way to get choked. As you can see, Roman is tapping right here with that hand in front. And yeah, it was kind of a crazy finish. I couldn't believe that he just ragdolled him like that. But Fluffy just did his thing, man, and he got the big win. And yeah, just extended his win streak to 8. So let's see who he gets next. He's definitely gonna get a bigger name, and yeah, it's gonna be good. So yeah, that does it for UFC Vegas 109, and that about does it for me as well. Oh shit, I just completely I'm pushing all of the wrong buttons. Hold on, where am I at? There we go. Yeah, so that does it, man. I had to talk about the UFC ending the pay-per-view era, I guess you could say. And now starting next year, we don't have to pay for pay-per-views anymore. So that's the biggest thing that happened today. And as far as that shit, Juice Man's talking shit to Matua in a fun way. That's hilarious. Yeah, no more pay-per-views. I'm happy about that shit. And I mean, it couldn't come in a better time. I mean, I would have loved for it to have happened earlier, sooner, so I could stop wasting money. Not really wasting, but you know what I mean. Stop spending so much damn money. But here's the thing. How's everybody gonna pay for like 5 more pay-per-views for the rest of the year when we know that we get it free next year? It's tough. There's going to be a lot more streaming, I think, because people are like, you know what? I've paid enough money. I'm not going to keep paying when I get it for free next year. So we'll see how that goes. As for me, I still pay for it because I do the watch parties. And speaking of watch parties, I'm gonna have one for UFC fucking UFC 319 coming up on Saturday. So I will preview that card coming up on Thursday, my normal night. So come back if you, way more streaming until 2026. Yeah, exactly. You know that shit is coming. There's no way that more people won't be streaming. And I definitely would too if I didn't want to count on having the fights be good for me to watch without any problems. I pay for them sometimes as well. Don't want it stopping on me or rebooting. Exactly. So that's the thing. Hey, I love your your picture there for your account with the Nate Diaz. That is
I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
That's one of the best pictures I've seen yet. I'm a big Nate Diaz fan, that's why. But anyway, yeah, so I don't like all the stopping and starting and having to find a different stream and all that shit. So I still pay for it, and I will for the rest of the year, since I won't have to starting next year. So that would be good. So come back Thursday for the preview of UFC 319, and be on the lookout for that watch party. Usually we go live when the main card is live during the pay-per-view. So Christian Flores Garcia, what's up? I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Yeah, man, it's one of my favorite ones. So I definitely got to play that when I get the chance. Christian, we're having the watch party this weekend, bro. So make sure you jump in. Everyone else jump in as well. You watching Dana White Contender Series tomorrow? Yeah, I'm going to try to catch that for sure. The first one of the year. I totally forgot to talk about that, but I will review it on Thursday when I come back and do that. So big honk. Let's go Paramount, $12 a month for all the cards. Hell yeah. Everyone's happy about it, man. Everyone's jumping in at the end. What's up? Where were you guys at? But Big Honk doesn't like my profile pic though. Yeah. He said it once to you. I'm a Diaz fan though, so you got me. But anyway, yeah, that's it for me. I got the outro music playing for almost a minute now. I will get out of here, but I appreciate everybody for jumping in. Juice Man, Christian Garcia, Big Onk, Matua. I definitely have Paramount Plus, by the way. Infinity, Rent Free, PVG, Magics, everybody that was in here, appreciate you all. Thanks again for jumping in. Make sure you come back on Thursday for the preview show of UFC 319 and be on the lookout for that watch party on Saturday. We'll see you then, Christian. Thanks, everybody. Take it easy. I'm out of here. Peace.